adventure in fear. An experience in shock more shattering than your strangest nightmare.
Night of the Living Dead is directed by George A. Romero, and this is his feature film debut.
We made Night of the Living Dead as a bunch of friends who got together to try to make a feature-length movie. And it was just circumstance and luck that it went out, number one, and got distributed, and number two, that it was successful.
Early on in his career, George A. Romero worked with his friend Russell Streiner at the production company they founded together called the Latent Image Inc.
We started off small with TV commercials and short business films and that kind of thing. And people apparently liked what we were doing.
We did hundreds of commercial jobs, every kind of thing, educational films, political films, every kind of commercial, ketchup, pickles, soup, well, you name it, we did it. Beer, lots of beer spots. After a year and a half of that, it was like a 10-year education from scratch, learning the film business from scratch and all the equipment and so on. And we were a very tight-knit production team.
We did very well. We made enough money. We sacrificed. I mean, we weren't getting rich in any way, but you know, we were making enough money to survive, and we were making movies. They weren't really movies, and we knew that, but they were movies. So basically, over the years, we accumulated some equipment. We got some stability. We had enough money to survive, to eat, pay the light bills and all that, and we said, why don't we try to make a real movie? And that was the idea.
John Russo, who was a friend of George Romero's, was working on a script about aliens that took place in a cemetery.
I was working on an idea where aliens come to Earth and they're in search of human flesh, and it was going to start in a cemetery.
So I had written a short story, which I basically had ripped off from a Richard Matheson novel called I Am Legend. And I said, how about this?
George Romero had the equipment and the know-how to make a feature-length film, and so he and Russo collaborated.
We had a Christmas break, and George went away for 5 or 6 days and came back, and he had a story that started in the cemetery, and it was basically the opening of what became Night of the Living Dead. I said, George, this has all the right twists and turns and suspense, it's good, but who is this that's chasing this girl? And he said he didn't know. And I said, well, why don't we use my flesh-eating idea? So that's how they became Dead People After Human Flesh, and without those two ideas, you have none of it. You don't have Walking Dead, you don't have anything that followed in what's now the modern zombie.
Streiner, Russo, and George all came together in wanting to make this film, but they knew they needed more financing, so they contacted Carl Hardman, who plays Harry Cooper in the movie, and his wife, Marilyn Eastman, who plays his actual wife in the film.
We all decided that we should probably make a movie. So we met, and there were 10 of us, so we called ourselves Image 10. We sat down in our conference room and said, well, now what do we do? Well, we should make a horror film because they're easily sold, they're generally successful, and that's what we did. Lo and behold, ultimately out came Night of the Living Dead.
There were 10 of us who set up the original framework, and we each put in $600. So we had $6,000 grub stake, plus we had all the equipment, lights, audio, cameras, that kind of thing. Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman doing audio production, so we had pretty good resources in terms of audio production.
I also have to say that by the time we were done, it cost more than $12,000.
Oh yeah.
Yep. $114,000.
Yeah.
114?
Yeah, with the deferments.
But the amount of cash was like around 70.
Between 60 and 70 somewhere.
Once all of the pieces came into play, all of these innovators worked together to create Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The film begins with Johnny and Barbara, played by Russell Streiner and Judith O'Dea.
When I was late teens, early 20s, off I went with a little pack on my back out to Hollywood to make it big in film. I had been there a short while when Carl called. He said, "We're going to make a movie. Why don't you come on back and audition?" Packed up my little bag, went back to my hometown of Pittsburgh, auditioned for the film. The rest is history, if you will.
They go to the cemetery to put a wreath on their father's grave, and Johnny is bored out of his mind.
Do you remember one time when we were small, we were out here? It was from right over there. I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you be damned to hell!"
Johnny sees a strange man walking on the other side of the graveyard, but thinks nothing of it. He is still bored, and so he decides to tease his sister, Barbara.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you.
Even though Johnny is being a goofball and playing a joke on his sister, the mysterious man from across the way takes this as no laughing matter. Springing into action and trying to save his sister from the clutches of this ghoul, Johnny gets into a scuffle with the cemetery zombie, or the cemetery ghoul, played by William Heinzman.
Action figure. After 40 years, I finally got an action figure.
Johnny gets his head smashed into a tombstone, and now, pausing this for a second, I understand that you do not see his head hit the tombstone. I remember I had a problem with this with a friend of mine when we watched it, and he said, "Oh my God, it's so unbelievable, his head didn't hit the tombstone." But for me, I don't care about that. The cemetery ghoul chases Barbara to her car, and then when Barbara tries to start it, she realizes that she doesn't have the keys.
I really slammed it. And when I did, it flew out of my hand and into the car. And of course, if you can tell by the shot where George was at, laying on the seat with a camera in front of him, the rock hit George and the camera. Luckily, it didn't hurt the camera.
Doing whatever she can to get out of the situation, she crashes the car into a tree and doesn't get very far.
The car seems to crash into a tree. Actually, Russ Streiner's mother, is that right?
Yes.
She had an accident with the car and dented the fender, and he decided to try to capitalize on that.
I love the score in this film. I think the score really sets the mood here, and I find it interesting that a lot of this music is from pre-existing recordings and it wasn't originated for this film. Alone and afraid, Barbara finds refuge in an isolated farmhouse. After finding a dead body upstairs, Barbara decides to flee the farmhouse, only to discover that a new mysterious guest has arrived.
Dwayne turned out to be the best actor from among our friends. And so we said, okay, Dwayne, you got it. And we thought we were being very hip in not changing the script because he was a black man. We thought, cool, man, we ain't gonna change nothing. We're not gonna do a thing, let's just play it the way it was and leave it, let it lay. You know, this is this 60s thing coming through. Dwayne was the only guy who said, I think you're missing a bet here. I mean, Dwayne actually thought we should take note of it. And in later years, and now particularly, I think we probably should have. Not to make it a big point, but to refer to it at least.
It was Night of the Living Dead, that's what it was. That's my time, you know. Those were my friends in college. I came, I did it. That's my destiny, even, if you like. And it has never occurred to me to be sorry that I did it. Even when I wanted people to leave me alone about it, I never regretted that I did it. I never was sorry that I did it. I did it knowing what it was. I did it knowing the people. I did it knowing some of the risks. And I have never been sorry that I did it.
Now we are in the thick of the situation. We have Ben and Barbara, two strangers, individuals who don't know each other, and they're held up in this farmhouse with these flesh-eating ghouls outside trying to kill them.
I know you're afraid, but we have
I don't know what's happening.
So now the stage is set for some zombie killing action. Ben takes his crowbar and he goes to town on these flesh-eating ghouls. Realizing he is outnumbered and he can't take on all of these flesh-eating ghouls by himself, in the middle of all of this, Barbara is still trying to process what is going on, and I feel very sorry for her.
One of my favorites to this day is the shot where George is on the ground, he's shooting up, there's the little music box. Barbara comes by and she touches the top of it. The little doors open. George shoots through it, and just as the little doors open, you see Barbara's face looking through. You can see her eyes in that horror state. Then the little doors close again. I thought that was an exquisite shot.
It seems like Barbara is doing whatever she can to hold it together while Ben is constantly on the move saying, we need to get things done, we need to barricade these windows, we need to do this, we need to do that, and we need to keep moving.
I know you're afraid. I'm afraid too. But we have to try to board the house up together.
Once Ben feels satisfied with his lousy pile of wood, he decides to calm down and deliver one of the greatest monologues in cinema history.
I was alone with 50 or 60 of those things, just standing there, staring at me.
Once Ben is finished telling his story, now it's time for Barbara to share her piece.
Johnny kept teasing me and saying, he's coming to get you, Barbara. And I laughed at him and said, Johnny, stop it.
You can tell that Ben was trying to be empathetic and listening to her story at first, but then once she goes off of her rocker and starts saying, oh, it's hot in here, it's hot, he can tell that, yeah, she's just going off of the cuckoo end.
That was all ad lib.
And shit goes awry because now Barbara is in a frenzy and she is missing her brother. She wants to save her brother. She thinks her brother is still alive, but Ben is like, no, your brother is dead. And she tries to leave, but then he wants to save her from trying to kill herself and going to rescue her already dead brother. And in a frantic rage, she slaps Ben in the face. And then this is the turning point for Barbara. He didn't need to punch her in the face. I understand that, this is a frantic moment, this is chaos, he's trying to calm her down. He was being polite at first and then she struck him. But he didn't need to punch her in the face. I don't know how he could have handled it, I don't know, but he didn't need to punch her. She had already been through enough trauma.
Johnny! Johnny, help me! Oh, help me!
Once Ben finds a moment to relax and calm down, he turns on the news radio station and discovers what is actually going on.
Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
It's like shit is escalating at this point. Shit is escalating, and it's escalating fast. This is when things get more creepy, because it's like you hear the news station broadcast in the background while Ben is looking out the window seeing these ghouls, and then they play this cool music that I really enjoy, and then Ben is lighting his torch and setting things on fire, trying to keep the zombies away.
But nothing like...
I found a gun and some bullets out there.
Ben feels guilty about striking Barbara in the face, and she completely ignores him, which is understandable. I wouldn't speak to him either. Once Ben gets a hold of a gun and he checks on Barbara, he goes to rearrange things upstairs, and while he's doing that, we meet a new cast of characters, and Harry, played by Carl Hardman, and his wife Helen, who is played by Marilyn Eastman.
I did most of the ghoul. The regular makeup, the straight makeup.
Well, you did it in stages also.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting the way the makeup sort of progressed. If you watch the film, you'll see that the makeup changes. In the beginning, everybody is a raccoon.
Yeah, yes. Dark eyes, dark circles, and...
Right, and I was doing what I knew then, which was theater makeup, and that was to enhance and to diminish anything that was wrong with the face.
Right.
And then I gradually realized that with a ghoul, you go the opposite way. So if somebody had a big face, you make their face bigger. If somebody has a narrow face, you make their face very narrow and small. If they have little eyes, you make their eyes little beady eyes. So the makeup got better as the movie went on.
And of course, as we progressed with the production, then we had it kind of down to a formula.
I find it interesting that a lot of the cast and crew members also had parts in doing the behind-the-scenes stuff. I think, truly everybody having a hand on this thing really makes it special.
We luck into a safe place, and you're telling us we gotta risk our lives just because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, why don't we settle this?
Look, mister, we came up, okay, we're here. Now I suggest we all go back downstairs before any of those things find out we're in here.
They can't get in here.
You got the whole place boarded up?
We also meet Tom, who is played by Keith Wayne, and his girlfriend Judy, who is played by Judith Ridley.
Keith was a guy, he was the go-go dancer, you know. Keith was this cat that I thought, of all the people in the cast, I thought he was the celebrity. I mean, he was the cat. He had a gig, he was a go-go dancer, you know, he was happening cat, and, you know, cool. He'd come in, you know, in a convertible, sitting on the back seat of the hood going, hey, yo, yo. I mean, he was the showbiz cat.
What did you think of Keith Wayne when you found out you were going to be Keith Wayne's girlfriend?
I think I said, Keith who?
So when the movie was over, did you go out and buy any of his records?
No, I didn't. I'm really sorry, Keith.
Now we truly get into the meat and potatoes of this movie, because now 7 strangers, including the daughter who is injured and got bitten on the arm by a zombie, is downstairs recovering in the basement. We got 7 complete strangers who don't know each other except for the husband and wife and the boyfriend and girlfriend. But all of these people don't know each other, and now they have to try and find a way to work together to survive.
The cellar is the strongest place.
The cellar is a death trap.
Right off the bat, Harry and Ben argue about which place is the safest place in the house. Harry argues that the basement, the cellar, is the safest place, while Ben argues that being upstairs is the safest place. Harry believes going into the cellar is safe because there's one door, that's all we have to protect. All these windows up here, they can get in from any which way, but Ben argues against that because he says, well, fuck, the food, the radio, all that stuff is up here. What if a rescue party came and we didn't even know it? all of these points that all of these characters are bringing up are quite interesting. This is what I love about the film, is that this is an intelligent horror film. None of these people are necessarily making stupid decisions, which is what you're supposed to do in a horror film to keep the story going. But with this, it's like, you could say some of these people, yes, are making stupid decisions, but within the heat of the moment, they feel like they're doing the right thing. And so I love this kind of story where it's like you have characters that are making dumb decisions, but they feel like they are justified in doing it because they feel like they're doing the right thing. Who's right or wrong? Is the cellar the safest place, or is it upstairs? How do we know?
I'm taking the girl with me.
You leave her here.
I find it funny that Harry and Ben argue over, is Barbara going into the cellar or is she staying upstairs? And it's like, no, she's not some animate object. She's a human being.
Oh, I'd like to leave. Yes.
Trying to make decisions on what to do, the cast of characters end up watching a news bulletin that tells them what is going on and that they need to get to rescue stations that will provide them with medical help.
Science and technology.
Willard. I saw a sign that said Willard.
It's only about 17 miles from here.
So once a decision is made and they decide to escape the farmhouse, they come up with the plan. The plan is they're going to throw some Molotov cocktails at the zombies because apparently the zombies are afraid of fire. They're going to hop inside the abandoned truck that Ben found.
I'm going with him. Get back in the cellar. I'm going. It's too late. It's too late.
They're going to drive it over to the gas pump that is located at the farmhouse. They're going to load the truck up with gas, drive it back to the farmhouse, and then load everybody into the truck and drive off to a rescue station. How hard can that be? Judy, in making dumb decisions because she loves her boyfriend too much, she decides to go with the group and to get the gas, but then that slows everything down for a brief moment.
This key won't work. Watch it.
Everyone is screwing up at this moment because, yeah, it's Ben's fault. He left the torch by the truck by the gas tank, and then Tom decides to grab the gas and it's spilling everywhere after Ben shoots the lock off because the key that Tom found doesn't work, so the gas just spills all over the fire and all over the truck, and now the truck is on fire and it's just chaos!
You gotta get away from the pump!
Tom decides, okay, so the truck needs to get away from the pump because if the pump catches on fire, it'll explode. So then Tom gets in the truck, drives away, and tries to get everything in a safe position. But then while Tom tries to escape in a quick fashion, Judy, her jacket is caught on something inside of the truck, so now she's slowing everything down again. Now Tom, being the boyfriend that he is, he tries to save Judy, but it is too late. The truck explodes and kills them both. This moment, this is where shit hits the fan, because now is Ben, again after telling his story when he was at the diner surrounded by these things, he is again surrounded by these flesh-eating ghouls and has to fight for his survival. Ben tries to re-enter the house after their failed plan. Harry doesn't want to let Ben inside. I mean, you can tell he's kind of having a moral moment here. He's like, should I let him in? Should I not let him in? What should I do? I don't know what to do. Ben, being the angry man that he is, he kicks down the door and gives a mean look to Harry, and then they try to reinforce the door, and now just everything is just falling apart because Ben decides he's had enough of Harry's shit and he whoops his ass.
You're insane. The cellar's the safest place.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
And I'm telling you, those things turned over our car. We were damn lucky to get away at all. Now you tell me those things can't get through this lousy pile of wood?
You better watch this and try to understand what's going on.
I don't want anyone's life on my hands.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I don't want to hear any more from you, mister. If you stay up here, you take orders from me.
And that includes leaving the girl alone.
Then, one of the greatest lines in cinema history is delivered.
I'll drag you out there and feed you those things.
It's like, pick your poison. Do you want to go outside and be eaten alive by the flesh-eating ghouls? Or do you want to stay inside and get your ass beat by another human being and then ultimately have trust issues and then be traumatized by this entire situation?
All persons who die during this crisis, from whatever cause, will come back to life to seek human victims unless their bodies are first disposed of by cremation.
Now, in an extremely desperate situation, nobody knows what to do, and Ben is constantly trying to come up with a plan.
You have a car? Where? Where is it?
You won't be able to start it.
Yeah, I know. But where is it?
But all of the resources are dead. Like, there's nothing to do. You just wait it out now at this point. Unless you want to take your chances outside, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, the zombies are pretty slow, so I'm pretty sure you could probably get away. But then, yeah, you know, some people will have to be left behind because they got a sick child.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head. That's a sure way to kill him. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat him or burn him. They go up pretty easy.
Now, in the final fleeting moments of calmness, the power lines are down, and now there's no electricity, and now it's just pitch black, and the terror truly begins. Harry understands the situation, and he decides to take charge of the situation by pointing a gun at Ben and declaring that he is now the boss of the upstairs area, and Ben, you can go to hell, and my family, you need to get in the cellar. But Ben, being the man that he is, decides that I've had enough of Harry's shit, and he kills Harry in cold blood. This is what I'm talking about. It's like you're not safe outside, you're not safe inside. I mean, for God's sakes, man, the zombies are breaking inside and you people are still arguing. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, this is just truly crazy. In Harry's final moments, he goes to see his daughter and he dies right next to her. And yeah, you know, Harry, it's like, I wouldn't say I didn't like him. I would say that, you know, his character, he's a bit mean-spirited or whatnot, but it's like Ben didn't have to shoot him and kill him like that. And then just seeing him die next to his daughter, I do feel bad for that character. I do feel bad for Harry. Harry didn't deserve that. Now, at this point, Barbara decides to stand up and make a stand and fight against these zombies. But it's too little too late, because by the time she stands up for herself and for the group, her brother comes up and he is a zombie. And it's a sad moment. He grabs her and brings her into the herd, and it's just truly terrifying. Like, you can only imagine the torment and the torture she is going through in that moment. Helen goes into the basement and sees her daughter eating her father's dead corpse, and the mom is completely traumatized. Like, just imagine your daughter, she's a flesh-eating ghoul now, she's trying to kill you, and one of the most horrifying scenes in cinema history.
Shooting the scene wasn't nearly as dramatic as watching it. Marilyn was not even in the same room with me at the time. I was I was stabbing into a pillow with the trowel, and my dad just said, just stab into the pillow. The pillow was in the corner on the floor, and so I started stabbing, and there was no sound. You know, they put in the sound later, and I said, well, how many times do you want me to stab this? I hadn't really been given very clear direction. I'll just keep going. Okay, so I just kept stabbing this pillow, and it was really interesting seeing the finished film to see what it turned into, because you know, I had no idea. And then someone was behind me throwing either black paint or chocolate syrup against the wall to make it look like the blood was splattering. It was great. It was really fun.
The zombie daughter from the cellar comes upstairs, tries to bite Ben, but he tosses her to the side and goes down into the cellar. And Harry was right about the cellar.
Cooper was right.
Remember that.
Eventually, all the zombies break through that lousy pile of wood that Harry mentioned to Ben earlier. And so Ben takes Harry's advice finally, when it's too little too late, and barricades himself in the cellar. And the zombies apparently can't get in there. They can't break down the door. So what Harry said was correct. Ben goes into the cellar and he finds Harry there dead because he shot him, but then Harry's elbow is like eaten in half or something, and then he rises from the dead because this, whatever this thing is that's floating in the air, is bringing reanimated corpses or dead corpses back to life. So Harry's here, and then Ben has no problem in shooting him again. Then Ben finds Helen's body in the corner after being stabbed to death by her daughter. Ben has a mercy killing for her. He only gives her one shot. Now, truly, in the moment of despair, Ben is trapped in the cellar. Hordes of zombies upstairs. Harry was right. Everybody's dead. Ben's all alone. The next day, the sun rises, and the sheriff rallies a group of citizens to come together to take down the horde of flesh-eating ghouls. Ben, taking a nap in the cellar, hears the distant noises of gunshots and dogs, and so he realizes that, hey, a rescue party is upstairs. I am saved! And so he goes upstairs to unbarricade the door from the cellar, goes into the living room, and the final moments of this film really stick with you.
Let's go check out the house. There's something there. I heard a noise. All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
Ben is shot in the face, and he is dead. Everybody is dead. Everybody dies. Nobody lived. And I remember just watching that, and I'm just like, this is a sad moment. Like, it's not triumphant. It's not, your happy-go-lucky ending. It's like, after all of this terror, traumatizing stuff, everybody dies. That is just... There are no words for that. It's just, it's wow. I think the casting of Dwayne Jones was great casting because not only is he a great actor, but then the fact that, you have this black lead in American-made film like this is unheard of. I mean, yeah, we had Sidney Poitier, but there weren't a whole lot of black actors, if any, in lead roles like this. And so I think that's truly inspirational.
You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
It just makes you think, because especially during, the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated, and it's during the 1960s, during the height of, racial tension, and I just think that George A. Romero is cool for this. Dwayne Jones was fantastic. The ending to this film is extremely powerful.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
And then watching the horrifying images of just these individuals coming in. Oh, we just killed a fellow human being. We thought he was a zombie. Oh my, they don't care. They grab these hooks and they pierce it into Ben's flesh. They throw him next to the cemetery ghoul. There have been numerous remakes, reimaginings of this classic film due to the fact that it's in the public domain. There is no copyright for this film.
When they changed the title to Night of the Living Dead, they took off Night of the Flesh Eaters. In taking that off, they took off the copyright. And when they put on Night of the Living Dead, they didn't reinstate a copyright because they didn't, nobody noticed that the copyright notice had come off. And so, I don't know, 3 or 4 years into the film's release, you know, a lot of people noticed that the film had no copyright on it. And it remains to this day in public domain.
It was a wonderful and a terrible standing on our feet education about the movie business. It's great that the first movie you do becomes a classic. It was terrible that none of us saw anywhere near what we knew the kind of business that it was doing.
I know that in 1990, George A. Romero and Tom Savini, who was supposed to be their original makeup effects artist on their original 1968 Night of the Living Dead, he had to go off to Vietnam, so he couldn't do it. But he and George Romero eventually worked together on the 1990 remake, which I saw, and I don't enjoy it as much as the original. I think the remake goes a little over the top.
Hey, Dan, will you take it, huh? What the hell? No, this is a beer pal. Will you get off my back? God damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Nice going, asshole! You smashed it!
I love Night of the Living Dead. I think it's truly an inspiring film, influential film for just anyone who is interested in like just movies in general, not just the horror genre, because I feel like, yeah, the terror is there. You got the flesh-eating ghouls and all that stuff. You got the music, the vibe, the atmosphere, characters you care about. But at the same time, there's this human element to the story where it's like you got all of these people trapped in this house together and they have to find a way to survive and work together. That's the part that I truly find special in this film. And I find it great that all of these actors came together and they did everything. They did behind the scenes stuff, like I said. They worked on so many different aspects of this film because they were truly passionate about what they were doing, that I think this movie stands the test of time. Still to this day, it stands the test of time. It still holds up, even though, yeah, you watch it and you're like, yeah, his head didn't really hit the tombstone. Yeah, you know, that's a BB gun, whatever. And it doesn't matter. It's like, to me and to a lot of people, this movie stands the test of time, and it is a definite classic. It's like it has everything going for it. It has the terror, it has the story, it has the acting. Yeah, you know, some of the acting is a bit, you know, questionable, but at the same time, it's like, I don't care about that. I am so sucked into the story. I am engaged. I am all the way in. I am just absorbed into this movie that I look past all of its minor little flaws. And it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love this movie. I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know what more needs to be said. That's all I have to say.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
He watched Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
It doesn't seem as if those two would match, Mr. Rogers and Night of the Living Dead.
No,
was
but
he
did.
Enthusiastic about it? Did he like it?
He was. I think he just honestly enjoyed them, or could appreciate them for what they were. He's just a very supportive guy. He was great.